Math is a wonderful thing. Math is a really cool thing. So get off your act, let's do some math. Math, 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 math.
Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about the discriminant and the number of possible solutions. Okay, so we are not solving in this exercise. I think the exercise for this is number of solutions for quadratic equations. Okay, so they're either going to ask you, is the discriminant positive, negative, or zero? That we'll be able to answer that by the end of this video. And what is the value of the discriminant? Okay, so all this still has to do with the quadratic formula. Do you remember the quadratic formula? I hope you do. Just in case you forgot, the quadratic formula is x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2 times a. That is our quadratic formula. Remember to never forget. Be an elephant when it comes to the quadratic formula. It will help you in geometry and in algebra 2 and in calculus. It's helpful. No matter how high you go in math, it will help. So, what is the discriminant? And why does it look like discriminate? I get that question all the time. It's not discriminate. Okay, we're not discriminating anybody here. Okay, so this is the discriminant. Slightly different word. Okay. The discriminant is a very specific part of the quadratic formula. Okay, the discriminant, we're going to do it in purple. Okay, is just this part of the quadratic formula. Not even the square root, just b squared minus 4ac. In the last video, right, I was showing you like do that part first and simplify that first and then keep going. Okay, so our discriminant, we can have 3 possible answers for it. B squared minus 4ac. It can be a positive number. Okay, that just means it's bigger than 0. It can be a negative number, less than 0, and it could potentially even equal 0. Okay, so what does that mean for us? That means that if it's positive, let's pick another color. So positive means we have 2 real solutions. Oh, I'm not talking about those kind of solutions. Okay. Negative means we have 0 real solutions. That's when we start talking about imaginary numbers. We are not going to talk about imaginary numbers. You will do that in algebra 2. And then 0 means there is only 1 real solution. I don't care what it is. That's what you did in the last exercise. This exercise, we just want to see how many are there. Okay. And remember, solutions. Let's go to another. Remember, the word solutions is the same as zeros. Like, what's the 0 of the function? Of a function. And it is also, I'm using my chalkboard for this because it's, you know, chalkboard worthy. It's also the same as the x-intercept. Okay, so all those mean the same thing. So if I'm looking for the solution, if I'm looking for the zeros, if I'm looking for the x-intercept, everything we've done so far, it's what that is. Okay? So you could replace the word for solutions for zeros, or for x-intercept. Okay, it doesn't affect anything else. Okay, so here's our problem. We have f of x is equal to 4x squared minus 17x plus 3. I've got two questions. I want to know what is the value of the discriminant of f of x, and I want to know how many x-intercepts does the graph have. It could also ask how many real number zeros does it have. What else? I think that's all it says. How many distinct real numbers, or how many zeros, or how many intercepts. Doesn't matter. Go back to my last slide to see what I was talking about there. Okay, so remember the discriminant. We find the discriminant by doing b squared minus 4ac. It's going to be a number. All right, it's still ax squared plus bx, plus c. So what's a and what's b and what's c? Well, a is 4, b is negative 17, c is 3. So I'm just going to plug that in here. So negative 17 squared minus 4 times 3, and we're going to use order of operations to do this bad boy. Negative 17 squared, that's 17 times 17, which should give you 289. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. Negative 16 times 3 is negative 48. Okay, and then I have 289 minus 48. I'm using my calculator right now because it doesn't matter. 241. My discriminant is 241. That's one of my answers. Okay, it's not asking for square root. You don't have to do that. Don't do that. Okay, now how many x-intercepts does it have? Well, we need to look at 241. Is it positive? Is it negative? Or is it 0? Well, this is pretty obvious that it's positive, right? And because it's positive, that means that there are two real solutions. Two real solutions means that there are two x-intercepts. All right, so if I'd gotten negative 241, then I would have said it was negative and there would have been no real solutions. If I had gotten 0, then I would have said there was only one real solution. You're probably thinking, why is this video going on for so long? It's because I'm basically putting 2 videos in one. Okay, so I just think it would be easier. It's easier for me. I'm sorry if it's not as easy for you. Get over it. I'm just kidding. I'm tired today. I love you guys. I miss you. Okay, so you're probably like, oh, why'd you draw a graph? I don't want a graph. What's really nice, they give you the graph. Okay, they're gonna give you a graph. I'm gonna put a couple on here just so we can look at different things. Okay, so let's look at, oh gosh, I wish I could draw these better. Let's look at that graph. Let's look at this graph. Ew, that's ugly. We'll do that way. Still ugly, but it doesn't matter. How neat is that? And then we will do this graph. Also not great, but it doesn't matter. Okay. So let's look at the blue graph first. We're just gonna work left to right. Okay, the discriminant. Now remember, the discriminant determines like how many zeros, how many solutions there are, right? How many times it crosses the x-axis. So this guy, we're gonna use green for this, crosses the x-axis here and here. See that right there and right there. Okay, so that's two times, right? 2 zeros. Well, that means it has to be positive. The discriminant has to be positive, right? We don't know what it is. I'm not asking you to tell me what it is. I'm just asking you if it's positive, negative, or 0. Okay, now let's move on to this. My black parabola here. Where is it crossing the x-axis? Just right there. Okay, it only crosses one time. okay, conveniently at the origin. So this has 1, 0, okay, one x-intercept, okay? So that means that the discriminant has to be 0. Okay, so if there's 1, 0, then the discriminant is 0. It equals 0. I don't know like what all it is, but I just know that it equals 0. All right, and then this last one, notice this guy the vertex is above the x-axis and it never crosses. It never crosses my x-axis here. So how many zeros are there? Well, none. There are 0 zeros. Or 0 solutions. Every time I write 0, you could say solution instead. I don't want to write out solution because I don't have time. Or you could say x-intercept. It doesn't matter, okay? So that means that the discriminant here is negative because it never crosses the x-axis. That's all I have for you guys. I hope that it wasn't too complicated. Remember, send me a video or send me a screenshot of the question you need help on. I will send you a video to work, or I will send a video with it worked out. This exercise is only 4 questions, so it won't be too difficult this week.